And I'm not very religious, but I prayed for this one.
I had this like existential crisis when I was a kid, and tried to figure out what's it all about. And none of the books I read seemed to actually have a good answer.
So where along that path from a bunch of hydrogen molecules to humans, where did consciousness start?
Stephen Hawking, in his latest books, he can prove the non-existence of God because there was no time for God to create the universe at the instant of the Big Bang. He says time started with the Big Bang, therefore there was no time for God to create a universe, i.e. there's no God. I think there's a flaw in that argument, because Einstein's theory of gravity breaks down at the instant of the Big Bang. That's why he spent 30 years of his life chasing after a higher theory. And what does string theory say? Well, Einstein says the universe is a bubble. We live on the skin of the bubble, and the bubble's expanding. That's called the Big Bang theory. String theory says there are other bubbles out there. There's a bubble bath of universes, and universes are being formed all the time. Big bangs are happening even as we speak. So we have this bubble bath of universes. Right. So there was something before Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. There was something before the Big Bang. And we're going to detect gravity waves from the instant of creation with gravity wave detectors in outer space one day. We should find evidence. We should find baby pictures of the instant of the Big Bang, and maybe we'll find evidence of an umbilical cord.
But because those texts influence more other texts, and then you think about that as a hierarchy, okay, with the Bible at its base, which is certainly the case. Now imagine that's the entire corpus of linguistic production, all things considered. Now how do you understand that? And so it isn't that the Bible is true. It's that the Bible is the precondition for the manifestation of truth.
I believe in a God who holds the heavens and the earth in existence. I believe that on the basis of rational evidence. And as we look at the rise of science in the 16th and 17th centuries, Alfred North Whitehead and many others commented that men became scientific because they expected law in nature, and they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ashamed of being both a scientist and a Christian, because arguably Christianity gave the subject. What I am amazed at is that serious thinkers today continue to ask us to choose between God and science. That's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car.
So good.
When you ask us to choose between God and science, that's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car.
So good.
When Newton discovered his law of gravity, he didn't say, I've got a law, I don't need God. No, he wrote the Principia Mathematica, arguably the greatest work in the whole history of science. Because he saw that God is not the same kind of explanation as a scientific explanation. God doesn't compete. agency does not compete with mechanism and law. Why is there something rather than nothing? Alan Sandage, the brilliant cosmologist who became a Christian in his 50s, said God is the answer to that question. But people are now so desperate to show that the universe created itself from nothing, which seems to me to be an immediate oxymoron. If I say X created Y, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of Y. If I say X created X, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of X, which simply shows that nonsense remains nonsense even if high-powered scientists utter it. It is absurd to complain that it is unthinkable for an unthinkable God to make everything out of nothing, and then to pretend that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything.
This is no magic trick. This is the real deal. Holyfield.
Andale. Boy. Yeah.
Answer that question. I don't think we can answer that question yet, or we can't answer it. We can't answer what's the meaning of life well yet.
The problem with consciousness is self-evident. You know that you're conscious, but you can't prove that you're conscious. It's just something that's self-evident to you. If you want to talk about proof, you're talking about logical kind of breakdown of an argument and evidence for it. But you're talking about your subjective experience proving there is God. I would say that's actually the ultimate proof that there is God, but that would just be a declarative statement, similar to consciousness being a self-evident experience.
In my studies of the universe, I value evidence, and I don't see evidence for any kind of active intelligence or power over anything.